G'day guys, welcome back. It's been a little while between videos, but on this one I'm going to be unapologetically bullish. I'm bullish on Bitcoin and Ethereum in the short, medium, and long term. I am very biased bullish most of the time, but right now I think the main driver of my bullishness is the MicroStrategy news. I think the market's kind of underplaying it, and yes, while there definitely could be some downside, and this isn't financial advice, it's you can't not admit that Bitcoin has been holding support like an absolute boss this whole time. I don't think we're showing any signs of bearishness. We're just seeing a correction before we continue to the upside. The fundamentals of Bitcoin are just so strong, and the MicroStrategy news just makes the fundamentals even stronger. And I think, yes, while MicroStrategy got a bit of media attention for that, I don't think it's gotten enough. And I honestly think it's like your local news network worthy. But when media comes out on CoinDesk and Cointelegraph and stuff like that, that's not picked up by these big journos such as, like, in Australia, 10 and 7 and 9 and stuff like that. But I think, say Bitcoin doubles, which obviously it will take giants to move that mountain, but say it doubles, then Michael Saylor looks like a genius, and then the media reports on it. The media tends to only report on Bitcoin when there's price movements rather than movements in the fundamentals and movements in people's attitudes towards Bitcoin. The one thing that made me really bullish is this video right here on Real Vision. If you want to check it out, you'll have to pay $1 for a 30-day trial. The Real Vision product is quite expensive, but probably worth it if the free trial if the $1 trial wasn't going right now. But I definitely recommend paying your $1, watching this, and also watching the Alex Saunders video with Raoul Paul. That was also a good one. But this one, to me, is just incredibly bullish, and I think the most bullish thing about it is the fact that it's a deliberate corporate strategy to adopt the Bitcoin standard. And on the left here now, I'm just going to chuck in some stuff that I've written down. So the Bitcoin standard by Saifedean Ammous came out in March 2018. I got it not long after that, and I've had this one literally sitting in front of me for the past year now or something like that. I think it's a great book, and while Saifedean wrote a book about it, what Michael Saylor is referring to here is not necessarily the book, but just the fundamental belief behind the book, and that belief is that the economy should be underpinned by a sound market-based choice of money. And sound money is money that is not prone to sudden appreciation or depreciation in purchasing power over the long term. And yes, while Bitcoin goes up and down and it's very volatile and all that sort of stuff, in the long term, the thing that gives its sound money is its supply. We all know that, but the thing is, when a Bitcoin standard comes into a full effect, you can no longer invest in Bitcoin because it is just the standard and it is used globally. And I do foresee that, and I hope you guys do too. And you're in it with me. I'm all in on crypto and all that sort of stuff, and that's not just blind faith. That's the past 4 years, all culminating in this year and this wave of Bitcoin hype and adoption that is going to come after COVID. It's only a matter of time in my eyes. So the more stuff that comes out like this with Michael Saylor, the more attention it's going to get from the everyday people, and that's the people that we need to adopt Bitcoin for this thing to actually gain a massive price valuation. So there's a little quote there from Michael Saylor within this video. I said the other day, this is not speculation, nor is it to hedge. This is a deliberate corporate strategy to adopt the Bitcoin standard. That's what we're doing, right? I think that lots of people want to minimize what's going on here, or they're afraid, or they're in fear to actually come out and say what they believe. So the interesting thing that I think Michael Saylor was saying was the fact that he was scared to come out to his board members and say his opinions on Bitcoin. But when he did come out and say it, he found out that half of his board already invested in Bitcoin personally. But it's such a bold and brave move to take that personal belief from each individual in the board to then apply it to a corporate strategy. And that's why I think this move is just historic, and I think the market's underplaying it. If we look on, so this is where the news of MicroStrategy has come out. So this was their first purchase, this was their second purchase. You know, I don't know exactly when he was purchasing it, but that's when the news sort of dropped, and you know, price decrease / just sitting level. And you know, it's incredible how in that video as well, Raoul Pal says that now every fund manager, hedge fund manager that he knows owns a little bit of Bitcoin. And if everyone's thinking the same thing, but everyone still has that 1 or 2%, at what point do these people think that 1 or 2% should be 10% because it's getting adopted? And I think that's the next big wave is all these big dogs turning their 1% into 10% with the macroeconomic environment. So a commenter on my channel, Matt K, brought my attention to this. He thinks that there's a lot of downside, or a bit of downside, to be had with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and he quotes 95% DeFi newbies tears. So he's implying that anyone who's invested in DeFi is now underwater and crying. You know, maybe people will be crying if they bought in at the top or whatever, but if we check out DeFi Pulse, the total value locked in protocols is only going up, and it's still looking like a really healthy trend. Yes, we have had that little pullback, but it continues to tear higher. And I think, you know, I used to watch the Crypto Sniper a bit, but I stopped watching him, and I honestly think I'm better off for it. Very conspiratorial, and he often tries to make his viewers feel as if they don't know what's going on, because he quotes all of these random conspiracy theories and thinks that they should hold more weight, or they hold a lot of weight, but really they don't. They're just conspiracy theories. And yes, he has some good views, and yes, he has helped me make a few good trades through his free content. But I'm not saying he's wrong about this, but I am. And then he posted another video, and he doesn't talk at all. He didn't seem to talk at all about the macro fundamentals and this MicroStrategy news. Maybe I'm overplaying it in my head because I have this Bitcoin Standard book in front of me, but you know, I'm putting the money where the mouth is. I'm running some call options at the 11,000 level. If we check out the market, the implied volatility is super low. I bought mine for under 40% implied volatility, and they're already up, and hopefully they do well. I did have 4.4 contracts of this one, but I sold one just to lower my exposure and get some available back in the board, back in my account. But anyway, so Alex Saunders, this is Nugget News. I very much like his YouTube content. He was talking about how the Treasurer of Australia has just gone backwards on their responsible lending laws. So essentially in Australia, we had a Royal Commission into banking, so just a big legal proceedings into the operations of banks. And then out of that came these responsible lending laws to try and stop the foul play by the Australian banks, and then now they are getting scrapped. So that whole expensive Royal Commission is kind of for nothing now. And to me, when I see this sort of stuff, it actually gets me a bit... I don't like it. It gets me a bit angry, and what are you going to do about it? Well, you buy Bitcoin, you opt out of the system, and you opt out of the system. And that's what I'm doing. I'd say I've adopted the Bitcoin Standard. Have you adopted the Bitcoin Standard? Have you pledged your allegiance? I think you should. That's it from me, pretty much. Ethereum isn't responding as well as Bitcoin right now, but I still think it's looking quite tasty. All the stuff going on in DeFi Pulse is still going up. I think we're in crazy times, and macro bullishness, micro bullishness in terms of DeFi. Let's get it. Thanks, guys.